the reality is exactly what you said.
Okay.
It is, the reality is that they have no choice but to go through this.
Right.
Because of the children, because of the rest of us, the society which will look at the woman who leaves or who sorts it out in that way, is looked down. So she has absolutely no way other than to bottle up and carry on.
Yes.
That is the reality that you, I and the society has to understand. We cannot give her prescriptions and say do this, do this, do this, that's the end of it. We have to realize as a society and support this woman. I think that's what I am trying to say. And also women who suffer from abuse, they don't suffer, one woman doesn't suffer from emotional abuse, another one from sexual abuse, another one for physical abuse. Very often the same woman suffers from all at the same time. One who gets beaten is the one who gets sexually abused. Obviously the emotional abuse is there throughout, cross-cutting all these kinds of abuse. So you have to look at this woman in this picture if you want to help her. I think that's what I am trying to say.
Okay. And like you mentioned before, how do we get in touch? How do people get in touch with the services that you provide, in order for people to be more aware of this kind
First of all, that person must feel like accessing service. That is the most important.
That's so true. That's very true.
Because we can't force people to come. Because the woman doesn't come because either he is scared of the husband, scared about leaving the child, scared about the neighbors getting to know, scared about the mother-in-law, scared of the society. So that we have to understand that. So we will not be telling, why didn't you come early? You should have come 1 week ago. Then so we have to realize that as any care provider. So I think that is the first thing that we have to do. Secondly, to give them a space which is open, which is friendly, which is they can tell their things without any encumbrances or obligations. If they come and we say you have to go to the police, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to follow this, then they can't. So the choice is hers all the time. So all we can do is to make this space, make this place as inconspicuous as possible so that they can access this place. I think this is the general theme on which the ministry and everybody is trying to set up these centers, which are called Miturupiyasa, so that they can access these places. They can tell their thing. If they want to take this forward, they can take this forward, otherwise they can go back, but they always have this link to come back to us. I think that kind of thing is, I think, what is important for people to realize, because there is no prescriptive medicine for this one, not like when you have a cold or a pneumonia or something like that. This is a totally different thing. So people have to understand this.
As Dr. Senanayake mentioned, that you're probably wondering how a woman would change her mind, and that is the point of this 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Doctors, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We will have more experts on the show right after this. Make sure you visit our Facebook page on www.facebook.com/Good Morning Sri Lanka. Click the like button to find out more information about what today's show was all about. We'll see you right after this break.
Welcome back to Good Morning Sri Lanka. You're still with me, Anupama, and we have Jason.
We have Jason. That's
we have Jason, and why I said we are still talking about gender-based violence. The commemorative campaign that was going on started on 25th of November, going on to the 10th of December, and we're also highlighting the fact that there's a lot of violence against women, like we spoke about yesterday. Simply because we are made as women. Women tend to be violated more than men. And this is statistically reported. I'm not just saying it just because I'm a woman. Alright, so to talk about it more further, we have two very wonderful guests.
Yes, we had experts on the start of the show, and we have two more. We have Dr. Ajit Thanakun, who's the Chief Judicial Medical Officer of Colombo. Good morning. Nice to have you on the show. And we have Mrs. Sumitra Fernando, Attorney at Law at the Women in Need.
Good morning.
Good morning to you as well. Well, it's such a pleasure having you on the show. First and foremost, what we were just speaking, we were covering the basics with the other doctors. Now, Dr. Thanakun, can you tell me what exactly does the Judicial Officer of Colombo, what their designation, what are you entitled to do?
Well, Judicial Medical Officer is an expert in forensic medicine.
Right.
We are employed by the Ministry of Health Services, and we provide medico-legal service to the victims of all criminal offences, including the gender-based violence.
Okay.
We get cases of various types of abuse, gender-based violence, including physical abuse, psychological abuse, then the sexual abuse. We get rape cases, and so all these cases actually, when they come to the police first, or to the police, or to the hospital, in most cases actually we are the first medical officers or the doctor to contact them actually.
Right.
Oh, okay.
In fact, if you take the sexual offences, we consider them as a medical legal emergency.
Right.
So if when you get sexual abuse cases, we attend them even at midnight, because very urgent, because we have to take some samples and investigation. So basically what we do is we provide the medical legal service to the victims in order to bring the perpetrator to the courts and punish.
Okay.
That's one aspect.
Right.
Other thing is to coordinate the management of these victims by referring to the other specialists, such as psychiatrists, psychologists, then the counseling, and the management of those victims also we coordinate.
Okay. Let me ask you this, doctor. Now, you are the first person that this victim would meet, medical officer that they would meet.
Yeah.
Is it a lot of pressure that this could change their mind about, yes, do we need this service? Can they help us, or will they not? You can change their mind then and there. So how does that affect your job? How would you, for example, let's role player. For example, if I was a victim, I came for help. How would you persuade me to go to attend these services that the government is offering?
Yeah, exactly. These are important because sometimes especially women do not want to go further or take illegal action, and sometimes they come only for the treatment actually. But then we perceive them to do go for the legal remedies, and sometimes we advise them because we have seen in several cases there are repeated acts of violence which can end up in a fatal outcome. So we ask them to go to the police, and we inform the police actually when they come to the hospital. So we try to make them understand that this is very important to prevent further, so therefore legal actions to be taken up.
Right. That's brilliant. So it's a lot of psychologically play here coming when you're talking to them the first time, I'm guessing.
Exactly, because they need some psychological support as well, and a lot of people actually in the society still don't know that what sort of services are available if this happens. Of course, we should pray that this should not happen to any women in this country, but unfortunately it's happening at alarming rate. So we should make these people aware that what services available, what are the institutions, the officers, the government officers available for them to help in order to first to overcome the trauma that she suffered, and to take remedies to the medical treatment support, and also to bring the perpetrator to the courts to punish him, because this type of offense, especially the sexual abuse, sexual rape, sexual abuse, is considered as offense against the society. So the society, in a form of state, will take this case as the offense against the state. So the legal part will be handled by the government. These victims unfortunately do not have to do much actually. They don't have to spend them cent. So these things this message has to go on to the people and educate them.
We were speaking of this before, the fact that most of Sri Lankan women are ignorant about the facilities and the access that they have for services as such. And I was just curious to know, as you mentioned before, about how effective, the psychological aspect is highlighted in your answer before. I was just wondering whether it has become a cycle of being, do the victims that you usually meet, do they access these services after a long-term impact usually? Because that's what happens due to the patriarchal society that we are unfortunately living in. Do they actually get treated as normalcy and then get used to it, and then when they reach the highest peak, when they think that they can't handle it anymore, they go for these services. Is that true? Even when it comes to women in need and how they access it. Is this fact true in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, it is true. They go on for a certain period of time. They tend to normalize it, that it is that it has to be accepted and it happened due to their karma or something like that, attribute to some other external cause, something like that. This is a cycle of violence. After they go through so many cycles, only they would come to or decide to come forward and seek help.
And these cycles usually start in the emotional aspect of it, I think. Verbal abuse. It starts with criticizing, being sarcastic, being ironic, and then laughing it off, saying, no, it's just happened for fun, like we were discussing yesterday. And like then it comes into
building up,
abuse.
Fear, and then it goes on.
It's a cycle.
It comes to a stage, the battering phase. Then you are battered and assaulted. Then what happens is the perpetrator would find excuses. It happened due to stress at work, and I was drunk. I was sort of
not in my conscience.
Sorry, and all that kind of thing. And then that is the Then after that they are fine. He will give a present and all that kind of thing. And then that come to the honeymoon phase. After that again come back to the same fear beam.
I've read about this cycle.
So if a woman has gone through one cycle, she may not seek help. It might go on for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Then only when it comes to a stage that she could not tolerate anymore, she would decide to seek help. And also there are support systems, but many of the people, they don't have a support system. So they, especially the victims of domestic violence, that is the worst form of gender-based violence, because it happens in your home, where you think is the safest place for you.
Where things personal and private.
Also there's no time. It can happen any time of the day, any time of the night. And no witnesses, only the children are there. They are also worst affected.
Of course.
Now it's worse than street violence, because there will be someone who will come forward as a witness. But it is within the house, and it can happen any time. So a victim of domestic violence is subject to a lot of trauma, and she's normally devastated, because she can't believe that the person who was in love with her and who had a very good relationship has done this to this now we find, Dr. will confirm, we find very brutal, horrendous forms of violence, like limbs severed, acid thrown at. We have so many cases, the women who come burn, and some women have succumbed to injuries. So those are very, very brutal forms of violence against women. The legs broken, legs cut, one leg cut to completely severed, another leg cut to the bone. The one woman, when she was pregnant, her hand was cut off. So very, very brutal forms of violence. No, doctor?
Yes, we get a lot of
cases. Now I know why doctor mentioned that it's increasing in an alarming rate.
Yes. And also there's another point, that now more and more women come forward. They don't suffer in silence. They seek help.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing, good side. And I think that's due to the awareness creation and sensitization programs conducted by all stakeholders. And when a woman is devastated and traumatic, she doesn't know, she's dysfunctional. She can't figure out what should be done.
That's true.
She has lost control of her life, and so the most important thing that should be, or service or the intervention that should be provided, is the safety. That is of paramount importance.